Hello, this is Arcades, and welcome to another tutorial video here on Stormworks Build and Rescue. And yeah, if you remember last time, we went over some Lua basics, and we ended up messing with the circle colors and putting a little text on the screen. Well, now what I want to focus on is reading inputs. Yes, because once you learn how to read the inputs, then we can progress farther from there, so that you can get your screens to be manipulated however you want to. So, hope you like what you see. Hope you enjoyed your watch. If you do, remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment, tell me what you think. Helps out the channel immensely. And yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so I'm going to reiterate what I said on my last episode. I am not a Lua master by any means. I am not an expert. If you see something in here and you think there's a better way to do it or a better way to tell or show somebody, feel free to put it in the comments. Let people know. I know just enough to get a by, and I'm just trying to help people out learn Lua so that they can start and probably get themselves a foothold in, and then possibly expand farther to learn themselves the rest of the way for anything that's missing from what I'm showing them. So, now that that's out of the way, let's get into the workbench and look at what we're going to do. Okay, so we're here in the workbench. We still have the throttle connected up, and we're going to leave that. I'm also going to add a button this time. So we're just going to add a simple toggle button like that. And we're just going to put it to there. Simple enough, straightforward. And then we also have all these I still have in there. These were part of the example I gave as pictures in the middle of the video. I didn't actually do anything with them as far as the actual video is concerned. So we're actually going to go over these. Now, if you've been in a microcontroller, you should have seen all these things. These are the properties. You can insert data, manipulate stuff, and all that here. Well, inside the microcontroller, what you have is all this right here. Now, it didn't show, but because I didn't fully, fill it out. So, like, I go 1, 3, 5, we'll go 20 on that. So, so we got these different numbers. And each of them have names. So we got value, number, value. Well, we can't have that. So what we're going to do is we're going to call this text. We'll leave that one as toggle. This one is slider. This one will be number. Leave it as is. And this will be drop down. Okay, so this way it identifies when I'm going through this stuff, it will identify by these names. And these are all input values. These are some of the things you don't actually have to hook up to the composite for the Lua script to read. We're going to add this now into the composite line. So we're going to grab a composite right, move this around. Look up the logic real quick. Bring that up to there. Now, something I want to go over real quick is, well, actually, let's go into the script. Okay, so the thing is about your composite, as a quick refresher, it has 64 total channels. 32 are on off, and 32 are on number values. So that's 32 for the red, 32 for the green. And they're all bundled into that one bit of logic. You can have a channel number 1 for on-off at the same time as you have a channel number 1 for number. And they will both work fine. So what we're going to do here is, as you can see, we got input get number 1 for that throttle. Well, now we want to add for the Boolean. So what we're going to do is We're going to come in here. I'm just going to add this right here, and I'm going to have b equals B for Boolean. Boolean refers to the on-off. True, false, 0, 1. You know, left, right. It's the two states of opposite. But in the case of the game, generally with logic, it's on-off, but inside the Lua, it's true and false. So on is true, off is false. So keep that in mind as you work it. Now, the 0, 1 thing is also applicable, but for the time being, I'm not going to ignore it. I'm just going to ignore it for now. That's for other tricks, but that we're not going to focus on for the time being. Okay, so now, like I said, I'm going to put B for Boolean, and we're going to go input dot get with capital B, bool, B-O-O-L, and then we're going to put parentheses 1. So what that says is, hey, B is equal to whatever value is on the input Boolean of channel 1. That's what it's telling the game is telling the script. It says B equals this. Okay, so we have that set up. Now we have our inputs there. Now, here's the thing. When you go to make stuff and you have inputs coming in through your composite so that you can draw stuff onto the screen based on those inputs and such, you're going to be using more than that. You know, we have... I mean, that's the only way to get... That's one of only two ways. The other way is the properties. I need to go over that because I was having some issue with that earlier. So I need to figure out what's going on with that. And I will cover that again at a later point. But you're going to use that. But you're going to use these inputs from your composite probably the most for anything. If I can get this working to show you, you can use that for a lot of different other functions. However, what you can also do for these guys, for your property boxes, you don't have to necessarily just use this to get the value from them. You can come in here to your different rights and read, or your different rights here. Now, except for this one, you can't do this with that because it has no output. But like if you take this and we expand this to, 2 channels, you can put that onto there and say we expand this to 4 channels like that. Now we can take these and put these on these other channels, and we can now get their values in that manner as well. Now, here's the thing. When you're building your microcontroller for your Lua, you need to make sure you have, or whatever you're making for this, make sure you remember you log what each value is on this. So these right here are on channels 2, 3, and 4. Well, it's also, you need to know that your slider, which we're going to go ahead and rename this to slider, is on channel 2. We got the property number. I will leave that alone. And we have the drop down. I'll go ahead and rename this to drop down. And you saw I added some options and gave them some values. And we're just going to set option 2. It helps to really know where they are on your composite. So if you got a notepad somewhere, write them down. It helps all the bit. Do not underestimate how much having a piece of paper and writing stuff down will go towards helping you with build your, say you're wanting to draw something and you want to have individual bars or something like that. That's where they're going. For right now, we're just going to show you how you can read these different inputs and put it out on the screen. So we're going to go back into Lua script. Now, since we have these other ones, we're going to take, and I am just going to go ahead and grab this one right here. Go Control C to copy it, and then I'm going to actually enter 3 more times. 1, 2, 3. Okay, we know the first one is from the throttle. The second one is going to be from the slider, so I'm just going to put S for the slider. Then Second one is from the number box, so I'm going to put N. And then the last one's from the drop down, so we're going to put D for drop down. Now, I know that the throttle input is on 1, so the next one is from channel 2. That's from channel 3, and that one's from channel 4. Okay, so now we got the toggle box. We're going to go ahead and grab this one. Control C that. And then we're going to enter Control V, and what I'm going to do, obviously, this is going to be reading from channel 2 on the Boolean, so I'm going to go ahead and take care of that. And then I'm going to rename the variable from B to T. So there we have all those things we just added. They're all on the thing, so now we just need to actually get them to display. Well, now we're just going to borrow this. That right there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add these in. I'm going to write them out and add them in, and we will give them values, and they will display text. So just give me a moment. Okay, so I have the 4 values right here. Now, what are we going to do about the Booleans? Because there's not just a number of text to be drawn. So we need to just get it to display something. Now, I'm not going to get too much into these different commands, but I'm going to go ahead and show you this as a basics if you want to use these Booleans. So I'm going to make what's called an if-then statement. So what I'm going to say is if B, then, now if B is basically saying if this statement is true, then do this. So what I'm going to say for the then statement is we're just going to go ahead and take the screen dot draw text, and we're going to say true in that manner. And then after you do that, because it's its own function, you need to tell it that it's done with it. So you have to hit end. You see, no errors detected. Now, however, the thing is we also need, I said true, I gave out the value, but I forgot to actually put its position. So, 6. So we're going to go 226. All right, so now, Control C. Control V. Now we're going to take this and we're also going to change this from B to T and then change this down to 32. This will literally cut this off at the bottom of the screen. No. This is a 2x2, so no, that should be fine. Okay, now we got this written in. It should display all these values on the screen. And yeah, let's check it out. First, no errors detected, and let's see how it looks. Okay, and there we go. We got, 25 from the throttle. We have 5 from the slider, 4176 from the property box. We have 3 from the drop-down menu, and then we have true from the toggle switch, but we got a blank space there. What goes there? Oh, that is the button. The button says true. What the fuck? Anyways, so this is how you're getting it to read all the different values and display it on the screen. Now, I know the if-then thing was a bit more advanced than I wanted to go, but it is a thing that's basically, so if you're doing this and say you're using a radar and the radar activates, this way it'll go and say, hey, display this graphic, or display this data, or, stuff like that onto the screen. And that's where that would be used at. In the same manner, you would turn this off and on. Now, one other thing before I finish off, and one way you can actually manipulate stuff on your screen is now we're going to take that value, V, and we're going to manipulate the circle that's on the screen. Now, as you see right here, the screen dot circle F, that is drawing the circle that's on the screen at the moment. We want to manipulate its size with the throttle lever. Well, how would we do that? Well, we already know we're getting the value from here that shows the throttle size. Well, how about we just take the 30 and instead replace it with the V? Simple and straightforward. Because now your throttle is controlling that lever, or controlling that value, because it's getting the value from here, and then it's being placed here within the argument that the draw circle command is looking for the size, for the radius. So we're going to come in here. Now there's one other thing I want to do before I spawn it. Now we're going to come back to the throttle, and I'm actually going to change its max value. We're going to change it to 31. Because remember what I said is that 0 to 31, or no, we're going to change its size. No, sorry, I got a 2x2 screen. To 63. Because it's 0 to 63 for a 64 pixel screen. So it doesn't start at 1, it starts at 0. So 0 to 63. So I'm going to take the max value of 63. We're going to leave it at 25. Spawn it in. Now you see, the circle's smaller, but if you use your throttle, it gets smaller and bigger. But when I brought it all the way up to 64, it just blanks out the screen. That's not what I wanted. I wanted to get to the edges. Well, here's the thing. You gotta know a little bit of your math. And this is kind of a hint in the future when you go to manipulate things. You need to watch your inputs. I did 64, which is the diameter, actually, of the screen. We need the radius. So what's the radius? Half the screen. In this case, I want to do the full screen, so half of the screen, since it's a 64 pixel screen, is 32. So, instead of saying value, the exact value, I want to do divide by 2. So value divided by 2. Oh, look, there. And then when I go up, 63 brings it out to the edges. So while, yes, I could have come to the throttle and I could have redone it to 32 like I originally was doing it, I decided to go ahead and change the actual value and manipulate the value. So this way I can say I have a 63 diameter, which is true, a 63 diameter circle. Granted, I know that says 63, but you get the point. That with doing this, I can now manipulate that circle. So, keep that in mind, that you don't have to specifically put just the value. You can actually manipulate the argument's value within that space to take care of it. So, alright. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and leave it off here. And, yeah, so we went over grabbing inputs from an external source, converting it into a composite, taking that composite, putting it into the Lua block. Then, while in the Lua block, in the script, taking the method of grabbing them from your composite channels, assigning them a value. In the case, most of the ones I used was based on where they came from. Then putting them in a method to display them on the screen. In this case, we used just the text, so we could just go through it over basically. And a little bit of a small command with the if-then statement, so you could use your booleans to display something if something is true. So, and a basic description of how you can manipulate the values on the screen with, say, a throttle. So, yeah, I believe that was a basic summary. Alright, so, hope you like what you saw. Hope you enjoyed what you see. If you do, you know the deal, you know the spiel. This is Arcades, signing out. Have yourself a good day. Whee! That was a wall! Don't mind that to the left.